Let me start the recording. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Last time, you people, if you remember, we have covered up to this enterprise risk management, and we try to understand what will be the domain of risk management under the enterprise level. And when we are talking about the enterprise level, so we are talking about that the risk management strategies plans are made on the top level of organization, and it covers all of the organizational spans. It means it cover the portfolio, it also cover the program, and it also cover the project. So enterprise risk management is broader, it is a broader scope, or you can say it is a union set in mathematical, or you can say in engineering term, we can call it that enterprise risk management is considered as a union set. It is a combination of all portfolio, program, and project. And you can see that the enterprise include different portfolio include programs, and programs in itself include portfolios. And sorry, projects. We did cover this, you can say, topic. If you have any question, you can ask now, or you can ask later on as well. Your question is always welcome. Today we will be focusing on portfolio risk management. We are trying to understand that how risk management is carried out at the enterprise level, then how it is carried out on the portfolio level. Then we will be trying to consider that how the risk management strategies are carried out on the program level, and finally on the project level. So the portfolio, their portfolio include different programs that is designed under the portfolio. So the portfolio risk management categorizes risk as structure, component, and overall risk. So whenever we are referring to portfolio risk management, we are trying to understand uh, that this risk is assessed, managed, or you can say tackled at the structural level, that is structural level of portfolio. The components, that means what is included in that component, and overall risk, it means that it then cover all the risk that escalates in form of program or the project as well. So the structural risk is what? What is structural risk? Structural risk are risk associated with the composition of a group, of a project, and the potential interdependence among components. Okay? You need to understand these things. That the structure risk is a risk associated with the composition. What are compositions? Anyone? Composition. What is composition?
Specs, specification of
Or
different items.
specification, or portfolio is made up of what? It is made up of
Program, projects.
program and project. So the composition means right here.
Sir, group of different projects
The
and
group
different
of
programs.
and different program. So when we say group, then inside the group, the composition will further mean. You see, it says composition of a group, right? Associated with the composition of a group. Composition of a group. So definitely a group could be of program, a group of project, etc. So it talks about the composition, right? Now we need to understand what is composition. Composition means that something is made of some different component, and we are trying to understand how these components are working with each other, how these components are working with each other. That will be known as composition of a group.
Sir, what type of components?
Component, like for example, if I call, for example, program components and then project as a component. So we say in the structural level of portfolio, we'll say all of these programs will become a component for what? It will become a component for portfolio. Now, whenever we are gathering these components in a one group, so we have to see that what is the composition, how these are, you can say, connected with each other, how does they work with each other. And then further, in order to understand the composition, what we say of project and the potential interdependence among the components. Interdependence among the components. Potential interdependence among the components. What is this term interdependence mean?
They are dependent on each other.
They are dependent on each other. And that means, for example, if we are trying to give any example of interdependence, that these kind of relationship will be known as interdependent. Any practical example?
CPAC.
Yes, Ibadi?
So for example, CPAC in Pakistan.
CPAC is, you can say, a
Like,
large project. Yes,
you
but
have many projects that interrelated with each other. Like,
yes, can you provide some examples? That how would they influence each other?
so, for example, the road what do you call this? Road construction from China to Gwadar.
Yes, this is the main, you can say, um, an objective, for example, a deliverable. It is the main deliverable of that project, right? Main
Yes,
deliverable.
the
There
main,
are
main
other
objective of
deliverables as well.
other deliverables like power, that dams, they're constructing dams, they're constructing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
they might be like connected with each other under one portfolio.
could be. Yes. Anyone else? Anyone else? Interdependence.
सर इसकी एक एग्जांपल ये हो सकती है, ये जो हमारी मेट्रोस की है, रोड्स और उसके बाद उसके ऊपर रनिंग ऑफ बसेस, तो अगर हमारे पास अगर रोड स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो सही नहीं बनता है तो तमाम का तमाम, सो वी कैन नॉट रन द बसेस, तो बिकॉज दिस इज एक्चुअली दो एक्चुअली पार्ट्स हैं, एक तो द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द रोड्स इटसेल्फ, ब्रिजेस वगैरह सारे के सारे, और दूसरा उसके बाद जो है जो कि उसका मेन पर्पस है वो तो ये है कि हम मासिस को ट्रांसपोर्ट मुहैया
जी,
करे किसी भी
जी।
सिटी के अंदर। तो अब अगर वो पहला हिस्सा अगर वो सही काम नहीं कर रहा और नहीं बना, जो उसमें डिफेक्ट है या डिले हो गया है, तो दूसरा पार्ट ऑटोमेटिकली डिले हो जाएगा या वो नहीं रन कर सकेगा। सो दिस टाइप ऑफ इज एक्चुअली नोन एज इंटरकनेक्टेड जो।
ठीक है, ठीक है। Alright,
सर
so
इसका एक एग्जांपल जो है वो मैं अपनी फील्ड से देना चाहता हूँ, जिसमें वी हैव WHR वेस्ट हीट रिकवरी सिस्टम.
जी, जी, जी,
This is a separate project, and the manufacturing of cement is a different project.
जी, जी।
So both of them are interdependent. If the manufacturing of cement is stopped, the WHR will not functioning at the same time.
एग्जैक्टली। ठीक, बिल्कुल ठीक। वो क्या कहते हैं, क्लिंकर कहते हैं फजले अमीन भाई, या
जी सर, क्लिंकर प्रोडक्शन जी।
क्लिंकर से सारी हीट वो लेते हैं ना?
जी सर, बिल्कुल क्लिंकर क्योंकि आउट होता है, जो रिएक्टर है उससे तकरीबन 1450 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे वो आउट हो रहा होता है, तो उसको हम कूलिंग एयर दे के तो वो इकोनोमाइज करके वो हीट जो है फिर हम यूज करते हैं फॉर कंबशन, एंड द सरप्लस इज गोज टू द WHR.
अच्छा, ठीक है। So you can also find that, for example, whenever we are talking about portfolio, so at the structure level, we need to see that different programs which are combined together in order to create one portfolio. So we need to see what is their composition, how they are influencing each other, whether there is any positive influence between each other, whether there is negative influence, whether there is one dependent on another, whether there is any dependence, or whether there isn't any dependence, right? So these kind of things actually, what does it do? It influence your risk. It definitely influence your risk, right? For example, let me draw one graph right here. Right? For example, this is a performance and this is time or whatever you say. And let's suppose, for example, there is one project A, and we think that whenever the project A performance increases, this is project A, for example, at the same time, there will be a kind of decrease that will be seen in project B, etc. So can you see there, is there any dependence between A and B?
Yes.
Yes, what is it? Negative or positive?
Negative.
There is
If one's
negative.
performance is increase, the other project performance decrease.
Very good. The other project performance decreases. So same is the case, like for example, if we are not talking about performance, let's say rewards, right? We say rewards, the rewards we are getting out of the project. So if the we increase, like for example, somehow there are some events that causes an increase in rewards in project A, so there might be a decrease in reward in project B. But if I ask you, for example, we have only two programs in our portfolio, 1, 2. Is there any, you can say, change on our portfolio reward or not? Would the portfolio over a period of time, the reward or you can say benefit of the portfolio will increase, whether the reward of the portfolio decrease, or whether the reward of portfolio will remain stable?
So the point where the both lines are crossing, there is reward will be neutral, stop हो जाएगा वहाँ पे. और फिर से दोनों प्रोजेक्ट्स की लाइन के गैप पे डिपेंड करता है. अगर एक का रिवार्ड फॉर एग्जांपल 10% इंक्रीज हो रहा है और दूसरे का उससे 20% डिक्रीज हो रहा है, तो यहाँ पे ओवरऑल पोर्टफोलियो का रिवार्ड जो है वो कम हो जाएगा. बट अगर एक का अगर जो सर डिक्रीज 5% होता है, बट दूसरे का अगर उसी से 20% इंक्रीज होता है, तो इट मीन इट्स अ पॉजिटिव सिचुएशन फॉर द पोर्टफोलियो.
Very well done, Mehreen. You have very well, you can say, elaborated this concept. I will still ask, for example, other classmates if they have understand what the Mehreen have just said. यहाँ पे जो आप देख रही हैं ये equal distance है. देखें यहाँ से यहाँ तक equal distance है, और यहाँ से यहाँ तक. यहाँ पे मैं direct relationship ले रहा हूँ या for example inverse relationship कह रहा हूँ, जिसको मैं कहता हूँ -1 है. -1 means that 1% increase in one project will bring same 1% decrease, you can say, in B. समझ आ रही है? If there is, for example, there is suppose there is 5 rupees increase in the reward of A, so there will be exactly 5 rupees decrease in the reward of B. अगर तो ये सिचुएशन है, तो हमारा जो पोर्टफोलियो है उसका रिवॉर्ड हमेशा स्टेबल रहेगा, इस पे कोई असर नहीं पड़ेगा. But as, like for example, Mehreen have just, you can say, indicated, if for example this situation is not like this, let me draw another one. This, for example, we are ignoring the B and we are talking about this. For example, this situation is like this, and you can see that the let me take this as a C. You can see the relationship with A and C is, once again, it is negative, but it does not have the same level of, you can say, change. The level of change in A is greater than the level of change in C. So definitely this kind of relationship of A and C will bring change to the portfolio, reward or portfolio returns as well. So right here, what we are trying to understand is the structural risk, and that is made of the composition. It means different program that is being combined under one umbrella of portfolio. So what is their composition? How they are connected with each other? How they are connected? Whether there is direct relationship, whether there is indirect relationship, right? Now let's suppose, for example, I am drawing another graph, and this is another graph. Let's say, for example, these are the rewards, and these are different, you can see, events over time. And now I'm taking, for example, there is A, which performance is going like this, and there is B, which performance is also going like this. This is B, and this is A. Right? Now, for example, this is our another portfolio. This is portfolio 1, and this is portfolio 2. Which of the portfolio is exposed to the risk? 1 or 2?
2 maybe.
2 maybe. Yes, Bidadi, can you explain why 2 is exposed to the risk?
So sorry, I didn't get it.
Can you please elaborate why do you consider 2 is consider more risky over 1?
More risky, it's 1 then more riskier.
You think 1 is more
because
risky?
yeah, because as one is growing, the other one is declining.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
I guess 1, because one program is affecting the other. So if one got affected, I guess the second will be affected as well. But but the second, which is on the left side,
Yes.
1 has nothing to do with the B. The A has nothing to do with the B. So if we got fail on B, for example, A will be still there.
Can you see that, for example, there is a kind of influence when there is increase in A, there is also increase in B, or there is increase in B, so there is also a kind of increase in A. Let's say. If I have written right here -1, so here is the relationship negative or positive?
So it looks positive.
Positive, right? There is positive relationship. Let me write it down, positive here and negative here. So the composition of
both
A
are
and B,
increasing.
right? Well, now keep in mind, you need to keep in mind that whenever you see a graph does not mean it always work from left to right. There is possibility that it may start working from now you don't need to see that graph will work from left to right. Sometimes you may have to see the graph as from right to left as well, isn't it? If we see in portfolio 1, if you start from left to right, you get the same results. If you start from right and move toward left, you get the same results as well. Like, for example, right here, if we say they are interdependent, it means A and B are working negatively to each other. So I can say whenever B performance is declining or the reward of B is declining, so will the, you can say, reward of A will increase. On other hand, I can also say, for example, whenever the rewards of A is declining, there is possibility that reward of B will increase, isn't it?
Yeah, could be
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What about here? If I say a reward in B increases, so there will be increase in A. And if there is decrease in B, so there will be decrease in A as well. So now, what do you think? Which one is more riskier?
I guess 2 right now. I changed my
You
opinion
change your mind.
because
Okay. Koteba
yeah.
have understood it why 2 is considered more risky. Anyone else? If anyone still consider A is more risky or 1 is more risky over 2. Anyone else? कोई और कोई कमेंट करेगा? अहद?
यस सर
Yes.
जी शान सॉरी शान ने पहली बात
सर सर देखें अगर हम ग्राफ 1 पे देखेंगे तो वो एक क्रॉस करके दोबारा प्लस और नेगेटिव दोनों आ रहे हैं उसके अंदर। वो जो उनकी
जी।
बीच की डॉटेड लाइन है वो हमें ये बता रही है कि इनका जो रिस्क था वो मतलब के मैनेज हो गया। पहले रिस्क ज्यादा था,
हाँ
फिर जो अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलके मैनेज हो गई। लेकिन
बिल्कुल
जब हम ग्राफ 2 पे आएंगे तो वहां पे आप देखेंगे कि वो पहले उनके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी ज्यादा थी, वो कंजस्ट होके एट द एंड वो बिल्कुल कंबाइन होगी। अब इसका मतलब वो जब माइक क्रॉस करके नीचे को जाएंगे तो उसके बाद इतनी स्पेस नहीं होगी कि वो दोबारा मतलब कि उतना प्रॉफिट कर सके। तो इसके अंदर जब हम बीच की लाइन ड्रॉ करेंगे ना तो उसके अंदर हमें लॉस नजर आएगा कि हम
वेरी गुड
इसको
वेरी गुड
नहीं
वेरी गुड
प्रॉफिट नहीं कर पाए, उसका अपनी
जी 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 जी
ग्राफ की जो लाइन है ना उसको मैनेज नहीं कर पाए।
हाँ यहाँ पे अगर आप ये देखें, अगर हम ये डॉटेड लाइन यानी ये पोर्टफोलियो लाइन बना दें, ठीक है, पोर्टफोलियो लाइन, तो हम कहेंगे पोर्टफोलियो लाइन या तो यहाँ पे होगा, वैसे मेरे ख्याल में यहाँ पे होना चाहिए पोर्टफोलियो लाइन, ठीक है, क्योंकि दोनों की कम्बिनेशन है। तो पोर्टफोलियो लाइन अगर यहाँ पे हो रही है तो वो हमें पोर्टफोलियो क्या बता रही है? Whenever there is a kind of slope in portfolio returns, keep it in mind, whenever there is a slope indicate risk. ठीक है? What does the slope indicate? Slope indicate risk. If there is a slope, it means it is a risk. What does the slope tells us? Slope tell us a change. ठीक है? Now what do we mean by slope? यहाँ पे मैं दोबारा अगर इनको क्लियर करके आपके सामने 2 ग्राफ बना देता हूँ. This is 1, this is 2. So let me change the color. This is one graph that is straight line, and this is another graph. ठीक है? Now, which graph indicate risk? A
The
or
one which
B?
has slope.
जी सर
B.
Very good.
B.
The one which show you the slope, right? The slope. The slope means it shows you change. And we say, what is risk? Risk is change. And what is change? And we did discuss that it could be positive, it could be negative, isn't it?
यस
Yes.
सर
Whenever there is a change, that will be known as a risk. But in A, if you see, there is a stability, there is no change. If there is no change, it means there is certainty. And whenever there is certainty, it means there
risk.
is lesser risk. Very good. So right here, whenever we are talking about the portfolio, so at the structure level, we need to understand that the different things, different programs, whenever we are combining them together, does it bring, you can say, our slope lower? If it is bringing a risk slope lower, it means we are designing a portfolio that will give us a lower level of risk in achieving our objective. समझ आ गई कि स्ट्रक्चर लेवल पे हम क्या देख रहे हैं? कंपोजिशन देख रहे हैं कि हमारे डिफरेंट प्रोग्राम्स इस तरह कंबाइन हो जाएं कि उसकी वजह से हमारा जो स्लोप है, परफॉर्मेंस स्लोप है, या हमारा जो रिवार्ड स्लोप है, वो स्टेबल हो जाए, उसमें इंक्लिनेशन कम हो जाए. एंड व्हेनेवर देयर इज अ लोअर इंक्लिनेशन, so you will identify that there is a lower level of risk now involved in that, the structure of that portfolio. Then the second point is the portfolio risk management is categorized of structure and component level. So what is component risk? At the portfolio level are risk that the component manager escalate to the portfolio level for information or action. Right? So under the portfolio, there are different, you can say, programs. So now they will be focusing on the programs that what type of components, right, that is program, that could escalate risk towards the portfolio. That will be known as component risk. And finally, the overall portfolio risk consider the interdependence between the components and is therefore more than just the sum of individual component risk. So like for example, as I told you, that we are trying to see in structure level. That is, what are the components? We are checking the components and their independence. In the component risk, we are seeing the escalation of those components to the portfolio. And then we, at overall risk, we are trying to find out the interdependence between the component that is being grouped together under one portfolio. And it does not mean that more than just some of the risk does not mean that whenever we combine the individual component risk, so we will say the total of that risk will be known as overall risk. No, as I told you, that there will be a different level of risk in different components. And whenever we are combining them together, it does not mean we have to see that our risk will increase, because we have to see the relationship between these components. If the relationships are negative, right, between different components, we will see the combination of those risks will actually work as in elimination, right? It will work as in elimination. For example, one project risk is negative, that is negative -5. Another project risk is positive, and that is positive 3. Whenever we combine these two, you can say project or programs together, what will be the combined risk? Would it be 8?
-2, sir.
It will be -2. What have it done? It have just reduced our risk. So same is the case. For example, we say right here, whenever we are talking about the overall portfolio risk, it does not mean whatever the absolute value of risk is considered, but we do not take only the absolute value of the risk. We take the, you can say, sign as of their relationship. We are taking the sign of their relationship. If there is sign of relationship is negative, so they will nullify each other. One is positive, another is negative, so it will nullify each other. So that will reduce the risk level. Then in the portfolio level, planning, designing, and implementing an effective portfolio risk management system depends on, definitely we say in the risk, what do we do in the risk management? In the risk management, we do plan, we create strategy, we identify a risk, and then we create strategy, procedure, methodology, how to, you can say, work out with these risks. So in portfolio level, our planning, designing, and implementing of an effective portfolio risk management will depends on, number one, organizational culture, right? Organizational culture. Now, what do we mean by organization culture? The organization culture will mean right here that, for example, it just start with the risk attitude, that what is the culture in the organization, what are their attitude towards risk, and what are their appetite toward the risk. So these attitude and appetite will create an overall organization culture, that whether they are risk averse or whether they are risk taker, etc. Then top management commitment, it totally depends on the top management commitment. Keep in mind, you cannot implement any policy if there is no good commitment of the top management, right? Like for example, I have been talking to you regarding the escalation of the risk. Let me go back to that slide right here. See, these arrows are showing the escalation, and these arrows are showing us the cascading, the strategies, policies that have been designed and then laid down. It is being, you can say, dictated, directed, or you can say it is being provided to portfolio, then program and project. They are working under these strategies, which is being designed and laid out at the enterprise level. And then we have seen actually the work activities carried out at project level. And then if something go wrong, it could not only fail the project, but it could escalate, and then it will affect on the program level. And then if something go wrong at the program level, it can escalate and it can affect the portfolio, overall portfolio. So right here, if I am talking about the organizational commitment, right? So right here, the project manager who is working right here, that project management manager will actually be responsible for activities going on, but the resources will be provided. The resources will be provided. What do you think? Who will provide the resources at this project level? The project manager or the program manager?
Sir, program manager.
So now, does it depend on commitment of program manager towards the project? If the commitment of program manager is lower to the project manager, so, or the project, would the project achieve its objective in the targeted time, or it can create some, you can say, possible errors or possible problems?
It will not be completed in time, and it will be escalating the
very good
errors. And
so it depends on the program manager's commitment. If the program managers have commitment toward the project, if it shows commitment, and it will shows commitment in form of what? It would show commitment in form of providing resources, for example, both material and human, right? For example, there are some people who are working right here at the project, and something go wrong, an accident have happened. And there are, for example, very important people of team lead people have been, you can say, now hospitalized, and they cannot carry out the work. Would it now depend on the program manager commitment? It would. And for example, if the appointment of that, you can say, team lead cannot be carried out at the program level, so it will escalate to the portfolio level. So right here at the portfolio level, they have to show the commitment. And then same is the case at the enterprise level, they have to show commitment. They must provide, you can say, a timely resources whenever it is needed. So we say in the risk management, whatever plans is being designed, these plans must show the commitment of overall organization. If the organization shows the commitment, they will be then able to reduce the risk. Otherwise, the risk cannot be eliminated or reduced. The third point is stakeholder engagement, and definitely we say in portfolio level, the success of the portfolio will also depend on the engagement of stakeholder. As you engage the stakeholder, we have discussed it last time as well, it increased the confidence. If you keep the stakeholder, you can say, very connected with yourself, you will get, you can say, their commitment as well. And then finally, open and fair communication process. It means that at no level, just for the sake of their personal benefit or personal reward, they does not communicate